Moon Platoon, AMC is getting a major buy signal from a major skeptic. Someone who does not believe in AMC but shows up like the groundhog on Groundhog's Day every time there's about to be a 50% rip. You guys have held during the dips. You guys have taken non-financial advice, education from this channel. And now we're going to talk very closely about who is this one penny analyst man. This person has been predicting that AMC was dropping to a penny since the beginning of March. And this is the next time, the newest time that he has come back today to talk about whether or not AMC is going down to a penny. What do you guys think? Because this is his interview on Yahoo Finance from yesterday. This is the one from June 3rd, and I have June 3rd's price action right here. And this is the one from March 10th, and I have March 10th price action right here. You guys have probably noticed that I'm using a different trading platform. This is Moomoo. I wanted to be able to shout out the fact that you guys can get 4 free stocks by transferring a couple of your Tendi and buying power over to this. And it also gives you the news on the right-hand side without having to take over your entire screen. I love that, as well as intricately, innately intuitive indicators. That's something you can put on your shirt. But I'll talk more about that at the end of this video. Make sure to take a look on your far right side, okay? That's the price action back in June. Right at June 3rd, AMC, when we had Mr. Price Pennyman come up, had just had a gamma squeeze, 130% rip all the way up to the 72s, right? So we got as high as 77 in the extended hours. AMC then goes down to the 40s and 50s, and right after that, on June 3rd, it goes back right up to 67. That is a 40 to 67. That is a 50% rip right here. So while this clip is going to talk about his 1 penny price target, we're going to talk about the reasons why Mr. Rich is wrong and about whether or not that is going to be a major indicator of a coming rip. So this is him talking about the fact that Black Widow streaming success spells big trouble for theater chains. Let's take a quick soundbite of what he even is talking about.
Rich, did I hear that right? You still have a 1 penny price target on AMC. To me, that's a company that may not survive the next 5 years.
I think that's an accurate assessment there. If you look at the math on this, remember, they weren't making money before the pandemic. They can't even issue. The one thing that actually would help this company would be issue massive amounts of shares. They're not even allowed to do that because their new retail shareholder base won't let them issue shares or issue more shares. So this company is really in a bind where their business is eroding and they have substantial debt and they really have no way out. So
isn't that fun? So he's still on the fundamentals, or hashtag FUDmentals, for a stock that is grossly disconnected. Doesn't mean that fundamentals don't matter, but it's grossly disconnected from the fundamental play here. As you guys know, the box offices were smashed over the last weekend. Black Widow brought in 2.5 million Americans, and that is 25% more than the 2 million that showed up for Fast and Furious. Both of these records broke 2019 records. So that is talking about pre-pandemic levels of people going to the movies. And you guys can know from this man that has come out every single time to talk about AMC about to go back to 1 penny, you probably had seen the exact opposite coming. Let's talk about March 10th. Right now, this chart right here below Melissa Lee is March 10th prices. And you'll notice that right before we have right here, March 10th at around $10. That was when AMC took a major upswing to $15, roughly around $14.50. So another 50% price rip. What is the man with the 1 cent price target going to say about that price right around this time 4 months ago? So this is a prediction that has been 4 months wrong in the making.
December. It's obviously been very volatile, but it's down pretty dramatically over the course of the past couple of months. And I think if you look at AMC Theaters, you know, we've been looking at sort of the rise in the stock as investors seem excited by the reopening. What they're missing is that this is not Cinemark. Cinemark's actually got a very good balance sheet. AMC is 8 times levered. They will never generate meaningful free cash flow. There is no value to equity holders People can buy it because they're excited about going back to theaters, but there is no value to this company. And ultimately, that's what's going to matter is they can't pay off their debt ever.
You also mentioned, of course, the secular headwinds facing all of the movie industry, and that's shorter release times, direct-to-consumer releases via video streaming.
You'll notice that he is talking extensively about video streaming and trying to use Cinemark as a benchmark for AMC. Number one, Cinemark and AMC do not have the same enemies. Cinemark was not shorted into oblivion during the bankruptcy, the intention to bankrupt AMC during December and January. And even before that, the short squeeze has been a long time coming. But let's forget about it. How does Mr. How can he explain what happened in June? So he actually has a hopeful explanation from his June 3rd interview about exactly what happened here. Let's have Mr. Mann from CNBC ask him that question.
And I think you do extraordinarily thoughtful work, and I still do, by the way. This has not changed because I don't think the story has changed. I think the only thing that has is the stock price. My question to you, though, is what have you learned since the date Mel mentioned, that March date? Have you learned anything in terms of, the way you present things, just anything about the business? Because it has fundamentally changed now over the last 4 or 5 months.
I love how he says, have you learned anything since your incorrect prediction from 3 months ago? Because at this point in time, you're looking at the same man talking to the same news network, but 400% in the wrong direction.
In terms of your community.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'd say from an industry standpoint, I think what's interesting, and you had Ari Emanuel was on CNBC earlier. They reported their first quarter at Endeavor as a public company. And Ari last night on their earnings call was pretty clear that the film industry is changing. We're finding sort of a new way in which movies are released. And so you're not going to see the same type of theatrical windows. Movies are going to come much, much faster to streaming and avoid theaters or be shorter in theaters. And so the film industry is fundamentally changing. That dynamic is completely lost on the retail buyer of this. They're not buying it because they look at the financials. They're not buying it because they understand the future of this company. I mean, if they were excited about the industry, they'd be buying Cinemark and IMAX and many other stocks. That's not happening. They're simply just buying it because somebody else on a Reddit message board told them to go buy it. So it's sort of this.
Oftentimes, this ends up being a question of the masses, right? If people would like the cinema industry, they would have bought cinema stocks. Well, Cinemark, once again, did not get shorted into oblivion. Cinemark is not the stock of Adam Aron, the silverback, and it's certainly not the ones of the meme stock, the retail investor revolution here. At the end of the day, what matters most, and he is even going to talk about this in a second, is that squeezes he can recognize are coerced buying events. And gamma squeeze, that explains AMC's rip from $10 all the way up to $50, is in his vocabulary. So he'll give it to the gamma squeeze. He'll give it to the options chain.
Just follow the herd. And again, I don't know what ends this. I really have no idea. The fact that I think it pre-open this morning, I think it was trading at like $75 a share. I have no idea what changes the course of this stock. All I know is from an earnings standpoint, this company will struggle to ever get back to what it earned in 2019, given the changes in the film industry. It's way behind on its rent payment, so it's got a lot of deferred rent. It's way behind on its capital improvement, so its CapEx has to go up. And so it's got higher rent expense, higher CapEx, and it probably never earns the EBITDA it earned in 2019. That's a really tough place to be when you're still sitting on billions of dollars of debt. I just hope.
So you notice that he's still talking about streaming. He'll bring it all right back to Cinemark and he'll bring it right back to streaming from 4 months worth of an incorrect prediction.
Adam is smart enough to somehow convince all of these shareholders to absorb, massive dilution from here.
Rich, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us.
And thanks so much for you guys checking out the One Penny Man talking about AMC once again today. It's fairly embarrassing to be wrong, but to be doubly wrong, doubling down again could be the groundhog that we need to say AMC's coming for the hedge funds. One more thing that I wanted to note is that last video I talked about Moomoo and its pretty quirky ability to use its level 2 data for free. So that's just giving you 60 bucks right in your pocket. And then talking about the fact that from the course of this community, you're going to need to be able to check your news on the right-hand side, as well as be able to look at multiple price points, including the versus tool that we covered in that other video. Take a look at the 6 months, 2,000% up on the orange chart here for AMC, then GME over here at about 500%, and then Tesla, not to use Tesla as a baseline, but you can see that your investments could have been in a completely different place. So if you guys want to check out the 4 free stocks that Moomoo has to offer, that's a pretty good way to be able to diversify your portfolios, diversify not only the stocks that you choose, but the brokers that you utilize, so that you will always be able to access the markets and never have a Robinhood fiasco happen again on your watch, and not on our watch either. Thanks again for the people that make this show possible. Moon Platoon, Gorillionaire, Space Legend Tiers, thanks for pressing that join button next to the subscribe button. Appreciate you. We're 115,000 benchmark for our subscribers are likely going to cross over today, and I can't wait for that to happen. For now, but not for forever. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the money. Peace.